Welcome to the Awesome. I'm Big Roy, and this is Marvel Strike Force. So I finished my first Dark Dimension run a while back, so I'm going to go look at the nodes and show how many attacks it took for each one, try to give tips for each one, best I remember. Finished it with about 21 days left before Fear the Darkness opens, so it took me 39 days to get it done with my roster. I was missing quite a few key characters at 6 stars. So no Black Widow, no Doctor Strange, no Vision, no Fury, no Defenders for most of it. So I had to get it done with what I had. I did have about 20 characters at 6 stars, so I was able to use a lot of them in different combinations as needed. Alright, so the first node took me 18 attacks. I was figuring out what to do. Found the best team for me with my roster was the OG Raid team, but with Spider-Man instead of Black Widow. Best attack was 2.71, and then the last one, 1.3 million. Wasn't too bad once I figured things out. Second node only took 12 attacks. That team did it again, did most of the work. Did 2.13 million and 2.17 million. For 2 of the big attacks on that one, so that wasn't too bad. Mission 3, it started getting a little harder. There's a shield operative and medic in the first wave, so stun and or heal block will be your friend. You gotta burst one of them down. Got it down to 9 attacks, 3.41 and 3.16 million were my best attacks with that team on that one. Mission 4 will be the first real brick wall for a lot of people trying the mode out. You've got 2 Black Panthers and 2 Okoyes, and the 2 Okoyes assist on every Black Panther attack, so there's a whole lot of burst in the first part of the fight each time you go in, so you gotta be strong enough to survive that, and then you have to have the burst to burst down the Doctor Strange, and then the Black Panther, and then the second Doctor Strange that comes down in a later wave, before he can res the first Doctor Strange, who then immediately reses the Black Panther. I almost fell into that trap. I had to play around with the RNG to get that down. Did finally do it. Took me 18 attacks. Then Mission 5 was the worst one. Took me 33 attacks because there's a Scarlet Witch who equalizes the health, but that wouldn't be so bad if there wasn't a Groot healing, and especially the Miss Marvel who does the complete heal on herself. Most people say to take out the Scarlet Witch first, but I ended up having to take out Drax first because that pre-taunt was messing me up. So I took him out, then Scarlet Witch, and then you get another pair of them later on. So yeah, that was a nightmare. It took me forever to get through. On this note especially, you want to be very careful about your kill order. You don't want 2 Miss Marvels, and you especially don't want 2 Captain Americas down at the same time, because it will make it a real pain in the butt to deal with. Node 6 actually wasn't too much trouble at all. It only took me 12 attacks. Priorities were the Trooper, and then Fury, and then the Security. It wasn't too bad actually, which is surprising considering it was Shield and Fury. Mission 7 took me 17 attacks. Best one was 1.39, but with an AoE team. There are a lot of enemies on there that strip buffs, so what I did, try to kill any source of healing, which is just the Yondus, and I just tried to throw damage at them as much as possible. Eventually got it down. Wasn't too bad, just took a little time. The regular team didn't do too well because they couldn't use their buffs. Mission 8 wasn't too tough, only took me 16 attacks. There are multiple crossbones and multiple Iron Men. Key for me was taking out Jessica Jones so I could keep the slows on them with my Quake, and that made it easier. Mission 9 only took 15 attacks. I burst down Strange and then Medic. Once again, the stun and heal block comes in handy. Spider-Man and Mordo are 2 easy to get options for that. And then finally, Mission 10. It was very hard. I actually forgot to go down and look at my attack history because you can't look at it after you complete it. So I'm not sure how many attacks it took. I think it took a good amount, maybe like 20-ish. I did take Ultron down in the first wave instead of leaving him. I've seen some people say to leave him, but he was a real pain to deal with because he'd do his very strong summons and also his super strong nuke. So I ended up just getting him down in the first wave so I wouldn't have to deal with him anymore. My kill order was the 2 Troopers, then the Operative, then Ultron. Then the next wave came down, took out the Mercenary Lieutenant, then the 2 Troopers. Then I made the mistake of taking out the Hand Sentry. I should have taken out Captain America because 2 Captain Americas is a pain to deal with. So then on the final wave I had to take out that second Captain America, the one that was almost dead. Otherwise they would keep taunting and feeding energy to each other, and that's makes it much harder, especially when you got 2 Mordos stunning and heal blocking and blinding. So Wasn't the exact best kill order, I know better for my second run. On my second run, I'm already up to node 6. I got the node 5 down at 19 attacks the second time around just because of better strategy and my roster's stronger. Looking at the Dark Dimension game mode as a whole, I'd say it's perfectly balanced if the Fury team did not exist in its current state, because my Masters of Launch podcast co-host, Chewburger84, blew through it in like 2 days with his Fury team. So that's clearly ridiculously overpowered. So from a pure power gamer standpoint, of course, Fury is the best team to do it with. But I feel like he and everyone else that uses Fury or like a maxed out Defenders team loses out a little bit on the enjoyment of this mode, because it is ridiculously hard in some parts. But I mean, it was fun trying to figure out the strategy, how to get things down, having to do things perfect just to get it down. And it felt like a great sense of accomplishment when I did get a really hard node down, like node 5, and then especially this node 10. So I don't know. I mean, if you just want the orange gear, yeah, go all Fury. But if you want to have fun, you know, figuring out the puzzle and how hard it is, then maybe go my route. So there we go. The run is done. There's all the beautiful, beautiful orange gear. Got a good amount of it. Got a few complete pieces. 720 of the catalyst shards. I actually was able to put my orange damage piece on my Rocket Raccoon, so that was extra awesome. So he's doing tons of damage, and I can't wait for the 1.5 times amount of orange gear that I get from completing my second run. So still won't be able to get anyone to tier 13 because they have the rare pieces that you can only buy for hundreds if not thousands of cores in the supply shop. So it looks like it's going to be a mega whale only thing for a very long time. So that kind of sucks, but yeah. So I'm in no rush to finish my second run. Although it will be really nice to get Ultron from completing Fear the Darkness. So one day he will go great in my tech team. He is ridiculously overpowered, as anyone who's played against him in a raid knows. What really did surprise me is I thought a lot more people would have completed it before me, since it took me so long. I was only the 586th person to 100% the first run, which I thought more people would have done it with all the beta players and whales, but hey, I guess people didn't want to mess with it until they could blow through it with a Fury team or something like that. Alright, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Leave any questions in the comments. Make sure you check out the Strike Force Masters of Launch podcast. I was once again joined by a guest host, Hebrew Hammer. This week we talked about all the controversies, the 1,000 cores for 99 cents deal that only some people got, the lack of orange gear availability, we answered questions from our listeners, and an extra long Getting to Know Your Podcaster segment. So be sure to check that out. That was lots of fun. Link will be up later tonight. And until next time, stay tuned and stay awesome.